Well, we've joked on this show before about heading down to Jackson, Johnny Cash style, but we've actually gone there to get some music for tonight. We have in with us 5 Stories. You guys are anything but a Johnny Cash cover band. Certainly more on the hard rock, almost heavy metal type style. That's kind of where I'd classify you. Would you guys agree?
Oh, yes.
Pretty close.
Pretty close to it. So how about if we go around the room and introduce you? We'll start off over here. Tell us what you do, who you are.
Hey, I'm Kenny McQueen, and I play guitar for 5 Stories.
Michael Fuller. I'm the lead singer.
Jacob Stokes. I play a little bit of lead/rhythm guitar.
And I'm Chris Hornsby. I play bass.
And we are short one member. That's only 4 stories, guys. So
that's only 4.
One story is left out.
Cody Kozark is our drummer. He started with us. He dropped out at family issues. We took on another fella. He dropped out. So we got Cody back now. We're pretty happy for that.
Glad to have him back in the family. You guys have that definite sense of togetherness and working towards sharing all the stories of 5 Stories. And now that we know a little bit about what your music's about, we'll listen to it a little bit later on. We've got a couple of your songs we're going to get to tonight, kind of talk about where they came from, where your songwriting comes from, and what it was like having to drive here, because it was a bit of a haul. We'll get into all of that as we talk with 5 Stories tonight on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. There's an old Meatloaf song that goes 2 out of 3 ain't bad tonight. 4 out of 5 ain't bad. We've got 4 members of 5 Stories in with us on the 9 o'clock news local edition here on Rock 93.7. We are talking with, go ahead and introduce yourself. Say what you do again so we kind of know who you are.
Kenny McQueen, I play lead and rhythm guitar.
Michael Fuller. I'm the lyricist, the singer.
Jacob Stokes. Also do lead and rhythm guitar.
And I'm Chris Hornsby. I play bass.
And the 5th member that is not here again is
Cody Kozark, our drummer.
Cody couldn't make it, so shout out to Cody.
Thanks
to him. You guys are working towards getting signed, or you have been signed, or you're on the verge of it?
No, but if there's anybody that wants to sign us, we're all game for it.
Well, you actually have gotten some backing, though, haven't you? You managed to land a sponsor.
Oh, yeah. Do a little shout out to Cold Cock Whiskey.
So you got somebody supporting you through them. When you're thinking about getting a band going and you're like, yeah, I've got, a guitar, I've got some strings for it, I can get out there and I can perform. When you get out and actually start playing in places, you start going through your equipment. Do you think ahead of time about that as far as we need to get sponsors lined up, or is that something that comes into play after you've been out on the road and doing some shows?
Well, it's just like a business. I mean, we're trying to build it. And
well, it's more like right now we're going with what we got. We all started out, growing up, getting stuff from parents through Christmas, whatnot, and just taking it as we rode. And once, this came about, we hooked up with a bunch of guys who just have the equipment already. Chris, our cabinets, he hooked us up. He had it. So, from there on, I guess we're good till we can get a sponsor and get somebody who wants to help us out.
So we've managed to land one sponsor, and you guys actually, I think we were talking before we started, bus? Have you got a bus that you're using? Or?
We do. I actually purchased it's not a full-size tour bus, but a smaller-size tour bus, almost like a local transit bus. But
bigger than a VW.
Right, exactly.
So we're not taking the microbus across the state.
Exactly.
No. A little bit bigger than that, but you guys have a ride. Where all do you guys go to perform?
We've been mostly around Jackson. We've gone down to Memphis.
Trenton.
Trenton, Tennessee. We've had offers from other bands to go to Mississippi and Kentucky. Actually,
Yeah.
we had a place there, and near Ohio, and it kind of fell through because of me. I'm in the National Guard, so it was like, nope, can't go.
Next year, I have about 30 venues getting ready for us to do a small tour, of the southern states. So we're looking forward to that.
Now that's where the bus comes in. Good thing you went with something bigger than a microbus.
Right.
Well, some of the songs you guys are going to be getting out and performing, you, of course, have written. So far, you've got like 5 together. You brought me a single thing, but you're working on releasing an album, aren't you?
We are. We
planning on December 2015.
Sometime in December, you hope to get your album released. So we'll look forward to the full album then. In the meantime, how about if we share one of your tracks? Thought maybe we would start off with Contagious. Where does this track come from?
It started off as Kenny's song. He was in another band. He had it written. It was totally different. It was more grungy metal type. And I was like, man, I really love that. We should try to make it ours. And he agreed. He gave the okay. So me and Jacob one evening we sat down and we tried to come up with a new flow of it, a new sound for it, and presented it to the whole band. Just me and Jacob at his house presented it to the whole band, and it just kind of went off, and everybody was like, yeah, the spark just went off.
All right, well, let's share that spark. It's infectious. It's contagious. It's 5 stories of the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. We're sharing some stories with you tonight. 5, in fact, as we have 5 stories of the 9 o'clock news local edition here on Rock 93.7. As we mentioned earlier, actually, we've got 4 in studio with us tonight. One member couldn't make it, but we've been talking about where your music comes from and getting out, doing a little performing. You guys lining up some shows. You got about 30 lined up so far that you're going to be doing within the next year. How did you guys actually come together?
Me and my buddy Jacob, we've been best friends since 3rd grade. He started at Golden Circle Ford, started working there, and met up with our bassist, Chris. They learned that they both played instruments, and they got together, and it was like, hey, let's just go and jam out one night. And Chris really enjoyed listening to Jacob play guitar, and Jacob just happened to have a friend, being me, that could sing a little bit.
We kind of guessed you were that friend.
Yeah, I'm that friend. I was kind of iffy about it at first, and I went in front of him. We just kind of clicked. It was comfortable. It was a very good atmosphere around Chris, and later on we brought Kenny into the mix, and it just kind of started piecing together and falling.
Well, one night I had been searching for a band. I'd been out of band for about a year, and I got on Craigslist to search for musicians. And as soon as I got on there, I was like so discouraged that there wasn't anybody on there. But then it popped up, a hard rock band needing a guitarist. And as soon as it popped up, I called Chris Hornsby, and we set up an audition at his house, and he loved me. I played some Ozzy for him and a whole bunch of stuff that I have written, and I just fell into place with him.
One of those few good stories about Craigslist. Are you glad you went on there?
No, I am.
Actually, we've had a few bands tell us that they've gone through that route, trying to look for new members. There's a lot of websites out there that bands can be a part of. You have like Reverb Nation, right. You have Bandcamp, or you can just go with Craigslist. So if you're looking to hook up with somebody out there and you're thinking, I'd love to be in a band, I guess that's the way to go. Although I would stick more with Bandcamp and Reverb Nation.
Yeah, most definitely.
Well, there's a group now. Chris can tell you about it. He started on Facebook. So if anybody's looking to become part of a band or looking to sell band equipment, that site, that Facebook page is definitely a good place to go to. It's been growing since day one, since we started the band.
West Tennessee Musicians and Artists Corner is the name of the page. It's just something I put together because obviously when I was looking for a guitar player, I guess I had the same problem Kenny did in finding a guitar player. It was hard finding a guitar player,
So you decided, hey, if I've got this problem, other people have the problem.
Right, yeah, and I just thought I'd make it a little easier for people to have a place to go that was free, that you could just, get online and post.
It's definitely been a big help. It's got tons of people that are selling these really high-end equipment, and if that's what you're looking for, it's a really good place to go to, especially in the South.
It's a good way to communicate with other bands, too, share ideas, whatever you have in mind.
Make it easier if you're looking for, I'd love to put on a show someplace. I need somebody to play with. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That page consists of everything as far as show dates, just a band come out with a new song or something. They can post it on there and get people's opinions. It's anything having to do with music whatsoever.
You guys, I'm sure, have that linked up also at your resources, too. There,
right. Yes.
Facebook and different places. We'll give out that information a little bit later about where they can find you online. We'll also talk a little bit more about your music, listen to one of your tracks. We'll do all that as we continue with 5 stories tonight on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. We've discussed what it's like looking on Craigslist. Not that we recommend that to anybody, but we've gone from those topics to getting out on the road to just making music. We've covered most of that tonight with 5 stories of the 9 o'clock news local edition here on Rock 93.7. Guys, mention who you are again. I want to introduce you to everyone.
I'm Kenny McQueen, play rhythm and lead.
Michael Fuller, I sing.
Jacob Stokes, also play rhythm and lead guitar.
And I'm Chris Hornsby, I play bass.
And our MIA player, the last story, the story that's untold.
Cody Kozark, our drummer.
He unfortunately couldn't make it with us tonight, so shout out to him. And, of course, to your fans. You guys have a pretty good support base there in Jackson?
We do. We actually have grown quite a bit in the short time that we've been together. But, yeah, we do have quite a bit of a following around the Jackson area and surrounding areas. Really blessed to have them.
How often do you get over towards where you're kind of closer to us to play? Do you get up to Nashville?
We haven't been that far yet, but if you know a place you can hook us up with.
I know some places around the Upper Cumberland. I'm just saying, there's a couple here that would love to have more music. We're always on the lookout for more bands to share, not just on this show, but of course through our social media pages. We do one for our Facebook page too for this show. So we put live dates up there. So we'll have to put some of your dates up so people know where to find you. You guys are planning to do the whole little mini tour we talked about earlier. You've got your bus lined up. Songwriting, I think we touched on briefly earlier. Kenny said that he'd written at least one song with a Sharpie. I'm sure you don't rely on just magic marker madness to get you through. When it comes time to write songs, do you guys get together as a group, or do you just bring your ideas to the table?
We actually, most of the time, it's just us in our band room, and somebody will come up with a riff. Jacob or Kenny will come up with a riff. We'll kind of feed off that. Somebody else will throw something in, and it just builds and builds until before you know it, we have a complete song.
And the lyrics, like I write continuously, like all day. I drive a truck, so like when I'm just sitting in one spot, I'll think of poems, poetry. I'll think, of other people's songs and how I would write that song. I'll just write it down on paper, and when they give me a riff, just kind of trying to find the right lines to match the sound. Tell a story. I mean, it's the biggest part. You got to tell a story with your song. As long as you can do that, it'll piece together pretty well.
Do you have songs that have come out of lyrics that you put something to it and then later you go, maybe that would sound better if we changed it? We've got some better material over here. How often does that happen?
Yeah, it happens more often than not, because like there's been plenty of songs where it's either too fast for the lines you want to put in, even though you got them written down on paper and it sounded good in your head, doesn't necessarily it's going to sound good out loud, so doing that, you just got to take a step back and put another piece of the puzzle in, try another piece.
Yeah, a lot of the riffs we come up with, it's more along the lines of make them and then share them with everybody else, and it's either a keep it or trash it riff. It's kind of how they get decided.
But you do occasionally have a song where somebody has taken the time to write it and then brought it to everyone else for committee meeting, as it were, and things I'm sure gotten changed. In fact, you've got a track that's kind of like that, don't you?
Figure It Out. We put it together, just simply wrote the lyrics down. Jacob immediately picked up, said, I got some riffs right now, and we just kind of pieced it together right there in one day, one sitting, and it went well.
So you figure it out. Figure it out.
Yeah, and that's what we'd say to each other as we were learning how the tempos and the speed changes and what we were going to do with the song. That's
Any special inspiration on those lyrics?
Those lyrics, actually, I wrote those lyrics for Jacob. He's going through relationship problems. I thought, why not write a song about it and share it with him?
It's Figure It Out. It's 5 stories on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. Well, we've shared quite a few different stories with the 5 stories tonight, and some pretty good ones at that. It's the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. Stories about their music, where the songwriting comes from, getting together as a band, and you guys planning to do, as we said earlier, your album going to be coming out. Hopefully you'll have that finished up. Should be out by December. That's the plan.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
And then you've got 30 dates lined up thereabouts so far. I love being able to say you've got like a tour lined up. That's kind of cool. In the non-micro bus.
Right.
They are going to be heading out and doing some shows. You're planning to try and get something closer over this way?
You got to go like off a base principle of how it all works. You want to draw like a 100-mile line around where you originate, us being Jackson. Just put a dot in the center of Jackson on a map, draw a 100-mile circle around it, and then after you've gotten your word out within that 100 miles, draw a 200-mile circle around.
So we're playing Risk is what we're doing then.
Well, it's kind of, yeah.
Well, you guys, the only risk has been getting out and getting a chance to share your music, and you've taken that. And in fact, they can find it online. You guys have, of course, a presence on there. Where at?
We do. Our Facebook.com/5 stories music. Of course, we have a Reverb page, reverb.com/5 stories, 5 stories.
There are a couple of bands that we play on the regular 9 o'clock news. That's the new music show we do on weeknights that have just made it onto the big scene. Bands from we've had from Atlanta and a couple of other places still have a Reverb page. That's how new they are at breaking onto the scene. So Don't knock having one of those pages. It's very helpful. Good place to start out. They can find you on there. They can find you on Facebook. And hopefully we'll find you back here at some point. Want to thank you guys for coming in.
Yeah, man.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
This is the 9 o'clock news local edition, Rock 93.7.